Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hello and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. We have an event going on this weekend where we're feeding a crowd, and so I'm in charge of a number of things, but one of those is the hot rolls. And I'm going to show you a recipe that I got years and years ago at a school I used to teach at. The cooks there made wonderful lunches, and they made fresh, warm, hot rolls a lot of times. And so this is their recipe from West Nottoway. So anyway, I'm going to start with, I have a 1/4 cup of yeast, and this makes 50 rolls. The original recipe was actually double that, but I cut it down for the event that I'm doing, and I have to make 150, but my mixer will only hold so much. So to that 1/4 cup of yeast, I need to add some warm water, and I need 1.5 quarts of warm water. So I'm going to go get my water ready, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've mixed my 1/4 of warm water in with that 1/4 cup of yeast, and then I'm going to add 2 more ingredients to this. I'm going to add my sugar, which if I'm making just hot rolls, I would add about 1 cup of sugar. If I'm making sweet rolls or cinnamon rolls, I would make sure that this is 1.5 cups of sugar. But the sugar will actually feed the yeast so that it will grow. So I'm going to stir that in gently, and I'm also going to put into this 1.5 cups of vegetable oil. And I'm using my dough hook on my mixer, and I just want to mix that in gently until it's combined, and then I'm going to turn the mixer off and let this sit for 3 to 5 minutes so that all of that can activate together. My yeast is starting to bubble, and you can see, I'll show you real quick how it looks from the inside, how it's bubbling and it's actually starting to activate. So now I'm going to go ahead and slow that process down just a little bit by adding my salt. And it's going to take about 1 tablespoon of salt. I want to mix that in. And then I'm ready to start adding my flour. And it takes, for this particular recipe, it takes about 5.5 quarts or 5 pounds, maybe a little more of flour that you're going to add in gradually. And most of the kneading is done by your mixer with your bread hook. So I'm going to start adding that gradually. And you'll know you've got enough flour when it starts to pull away from the sides and hold up. But it takes quite a bit. And I have about 1/2 of a 12-pound bag here, so it'll take a lot of what I have in my bag. You know, some people think that making breads is a difficult process, but it's really not. It takes some time, but it's really not that difficult. It's still not quite there yet, but it's starting to get there. I will turn it up here in a minute, but I want to make sure all the dry flour is out of the way or it will go flying. I just wanted to beat down some of that flour from the edges. And I get it to the stage where it will actually pull away from the sides, I'm going to flour my surface of my countertop and then knead it a few times. Then I'm ready to put this into a large bowl that I've sprayed. And then I'll cover it with a pastry cloth and let that proof or rise. And it'll take it probably about an hour or so. Make sure it's in a warm place. Quite there yet. I've tried this with other mixers, and really the KitchenAid is about the only one that'll hold up to the weight. It's so much dough. Okay, so as you can see, my dough is pulling away from the sides of the bowl. So now I'm going to turn this out onto that floured surface. My dough hook. And it's still plenty sticky. And you don't want it to be this sticky, so when I turn it out onto the floured surface, that's going to help with that stickiness. One of the chef's trainings I went to, it was kind of funny. We had a breads where we made different types of breads, and they wanted to teach us some new methods to know when your dough was done kneading and when it was ready. And there's a stained glass window test you can do, and I found it kind of unique because you just go by the feel most of the time. And so it was a good process to teach kids, but if you've made bread much, you know it has a certain feel to it when it's ready. Flour on my countertop. If you need the stained glass window, the whole thing was you take a piece of dough and you work it until you can get it as thin as a window without it tearing. So this is pretty close. If you just wanted a good one batch of rolls, you could cut this in half, and then it would make about 25 rolls. Okay, one more time with the flour, and then it should be ready to proof. Big bowl that I've sprayed. Drop my dough in. Then I want to flip it so that that softer side is up, and then I'm going to go ahead and cover this with a pastry cloth, and then I'll put this in a warm place to rise. Okay, as you can see, our dough is doubled. I'm going to punch that down, and then I'm going to start forming the rolls. about that size. And I should be able to get 6 rows of 5, so 30 on each sheet. And then I will let these double in size again, and then I'll put them in the oven to bake. And as you can see, our rolls have risen until they're double in size. So now they're ready to go in my oven at 350 until they're golden brown. Our rolls are out of the oven. The only thing I have left to do is I'm going to take a stick of butter, and I want to make sure that I butter over the tops of each of these. And then I'm going to let them cool, and you can do one of two things. You can eat them right away, or you could wrap them up tightly and freeze them so you have them when you're ready. So this makes about 50 to 60 rolls. It's for a single recipe. Hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. It's November and we're doing some recipes for your Thanksgiving meal. And what would a Thanksgiving meal be without green bean casserole? And so we're going to share the recipe that we always use, and it's a very simple recipe. And it may even be one that you're familiar with, but anyway, our Thanksgiving wouldn't be complete without it. So I am going to, in my bowl, I'm going to put 4 cups of green beans, and you can use canned green beans from the grocery store, but I'm using our home canned green beans, so I had to use 2 quart jars of those, and I've drained those. And to that, I'm going to add a can of cream of mushroom soup. I don't think my spatula will fit in my can. And I'm going to put in 3/4 cup of milk. And we always use whole milk when we cook, so. And then I want some seasoning salt, and I'm going to only add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of this because our soup has some salt in it too, so I don't want to overdo it. And you can add some soy sauce if you want to. We're just not crazy about it, so in our green bean casserole, so I leave it out. And then I'm going to put about 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper as well, or 1/2 teaspoon if you like pepper. And I have 1 cup of the crispy fried onions that I'm going to put in here. And I'm just going to mix all this together, and then I'm going to put it in my sprayed casserole. And I'm not going to bake this today or right away because we have other things going on, but it's so nice that you can do this much of it ahead and have it ready, and then when the time comes, I'll preheat my oven to 350 and put some more of the onions on top of the casserole and bake it, and it'll take it about 30 to 35 minutes. Because you want all those flavors well blended. Okay, I'm going to cover this and refrigerate it just because I'm not ready to put it in the oven yet. We're going to have it for lunch in the morning or tomorrow, and so I don't want to do that. So if you were going to do it right away, you would go ahead and put the remainder of your 1/2 cup to 1 cup of the onions on top and put that in the oven. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.